Welcome on board the National Geographic Sea Lion. We are so happy to have you back and sharing this experience with us here in beautiful Southeast Alaska. We're really looking forward to this week. We have lots of great things planned. We're going to be exploring with all of our tools of exploration, including the Sea Lion, zodiacs, kayaks, hiking, stand-up paddleboarding. We have it all planned for you, and we're really excited to have you back.
He's fantastic. His name is Erika.
Good morning. Good morning on board the National Geographic Sea Lion. It's time to wake up. It's a beautiful day here in Southeast Alaska. Lola is preparing to start her morning stretch and exercise class. Come outside. It's a beautiful day. Come down, get a cup of coffee, and start enjoying the day.
Get a little bit of video as you're moving through this fog, just kind of pouring over the water. What a beautiful morning here. We are in one of my favorite places in Southeast Alaska. This is Misty Fjords National Monument and Wilderness Area. And this is a 2.2 million acre wilderness area where we have the opportunity to kayak through these beautiful fjords. I love coming up here and getting photos of the ship because you can use the ship as scale. These walls are about 2,000 to 3,000 feet high all around us, and it's hard to get any kind of scale. So as we move farther away, we'll try and get some more photos of the ship just so that we have it for scale. And in every direction that we look, we can see waterfalls 1,000 feet high, cascading down hundreds of feet right here in front of us. And so we get a really nice close look at some of these beautiful waterfalls. What I love also are the soundscapes. And I love this spot between two waterfalls. And just listen to the sound of the water and just feel all that nice breeze and a little bit of mist on your face. About 20,000 years ago, during the peak of the last ice age, all of these mountains that we can see were completely covered with ice. And that's why they have this rounded look. The wall was about 4,000 to 5,000 feet thick. Since that time, now that the ice has receded back, it's exposed these beautiful granitic walls. We now have enough soil for a forest to come in. This area has been free from glacier longer than some of the other places that we're going to be going. As we continue our trip, it's going to be a bit like going back in time.
What an exciting afternoon we had today. We were hoping to find bears along Walker Cove, and lo and behold, in the distance we spotted a brown bear that was foraging right along the shoreline. So the captain slowed down the vessel and everybody got quiet and came to the bow, and we were able to watch this bear foraging, eating the sedges, grabbing them in fistfuls and mouthfuls and just chewing away. There were a few times that the bear actually got up on its hind legs and turned towards us, and we're all like, oh my goodness, I hope it doesn't, smell us or take off into the woods. And it didn't. It stayed there, it looked around, went back to eating. being quiet and stealthy as we were, we just got to watch this natural foraging behavior that was so special to all of us.
Here we are at Short Bay, and here we get the chance to do two things, some water ops and also hiking into the woods. But first we have to get over that one little obstacle, boot-sucking mud at the beach. We always tell you to love your boots and to get to know them intimately, and this is a great spot for doing so.
Plants have all these ways to try and attract pollinators to help propagate. So if they're trying to get pollinators in, they have to look really pretty on some part of the light spectrum and have this inviting landing zone. You know, they often are shaped like this. And they put out fragrance. If you like chocolate, good time to take some photos. At flower level, your pictures will tend to be a lot more interesting. This is a paintbrush right here. This red part is not the petals. Those are the leaves. They have a root system where they can grab onto the roots of plants around them and suck out their nutrients and get life like that. Suck out. One of my favorite things to do in the forest to make sure I'm really appreciating how much life is in here is to just make sure I change my perspective a lot. There is life at every single level here. It is Devil's Club. Just go under it gently, you'll be okay, but don't grab it with your hand. You can see every surface is covered with these teeny tiny fine thorns. And if you look closely, you'll see the flower stems coming out right here. This is called a skunk cabbage. But the good news about being a plant here is that during the growing season, the days are so long and you have so much moisture that it's this amazing growing opportunity. So the plants kind of explode and then all the animals go crazy eating. We're gonna be totally silent for a couple of minutes. Just sit, take in the river, have this moment, relax. You know, when we're on the boat, we're often really separate from the wildlife. And yes, there's some bushwhacking happening here, but it means that you're right next to the wildlife. This is called clasping twisted stalk, and if I flip it over, you'll see little white flowers coming out the other side. In a few months, those flowers will be replaced by watermelon berries, and they look like teeny tiny little watermelons. They're really tasty. This is false hellebore. This is incredibly toxic.
The furls on ferns is what I've been trying to get some good close-ups of. So that's like all I've taken pictures of this entire hike is all of these little fern furls.
Nine, 10 years ago, my dad decided to start Hump Island Oyster Farm, and that's just because we have a dock over on that side, and he liked oysters, so one day he decided to just hang 100,000 off the dock. We have some of them that their shells aren't that big, but there's a lot of weight to it, which means the meat is mature enough to be sold and eaten.
You're going to get to try 2 different salsas today, and then we'll bring you around a grilled oyster as well.
Can you give those extras to Hannah? Hannah loves oyster. Yeah.
Battery. I don't know if you can really show some battery on this. You guys need that. Here.
All right, bring them down.
And also know that we're on an island, Mitkoff Island. We're no longer on the Alaska mainland. You're on an island when you arrived in Ketchikan, and then the rest of our exploration has been on mainland. Old man's beard. And it's great to see lichens like this in the forest because it's a sign of good air quality.
So this grass was very important. So we're going to try to get 6 strands. What they would do is they would make ropes out of it, baskets. They do weaving.
I could pull our ship with it.
Here we've got a perfect example of a nurse log that has moss and lichen growing on it, and now it's starting to colonize with a little hemlock and a beautiful little shy maiden. That's tiarella or foam flower. They're just so minute. They almost look like orchid flowers. When we get closer to some Sitka spruce that I can reach, when you touch the needles, they're really, really sharp, but look at how soft the cones are. The skunk cabbage, this is already blossomed. What pollinates this plant are actually beetles. And so they think that they may be attracted to the heat that the plant is emanating.
Well, we've made it to LeConte Bay, and we're going to explore some icebergs. Beautiful blue ice that's calved off from the LeConte Glacier, which is about 5 miles up this bay. We've crossed over the submarine bar, which is that terminal moraine I talked to you about the other day. The glacier brought down this big shoal, a pile of sediment, and I've never crossed the bar in the ship before. Typically, the ships can't pass through here because it's so chock full of ice. And we're gonna cruise up in our zodiacs and explore these wonderful icebergs. And this is something that's truly, truly unique to Alaska. We have a temperate rainforest, so we have a green background and this beautiful blue and white ice in front of it. You can't get that in other parts of the world. Maybe you see bigger icebergs in Antarctica, but you won't see this, that's for sure. A tidewater glacier is a valley glacier that comes in contact with the sea. And when it comes in contact with the sea, it melts from beneath and it calves off, and that's why we have so many icebergs down here. And the LeConte Glacier is a temperate glacier and it moves really, really fast. That's because it's lubricated at its base, it comes down a very steep valley, and when it hits that water is actually relatively warm, so it melts out from beneath. Calving happens quite rapidly, and it fills up this bay with all this ice.
We have not been to Alaska before. We have not seen these beautiful icebergs and glaciers. It's been a most exciting vacation. The whales were unbelievable to view them in their habitat. They came so close to the boat and it was just fantastic. We've never seen anything like it before.
2 bald eagles sitting on glacial ice with this setting, quintessential Alaska.
This has been an amazing trip, getting to travel again after a really hard year and going through a pandemic, and being in nature has just been a wonderful experience.
I love it. I am in another space.
Alaska's beautiful. Everything is wide open and everything we're looking at is vivid and the air smells clean.
Chef Johan does magic in there. He uses his expertise and lets the food shine, and it pays off. Don't worry, don't panic.
I'm not panicking.
If you
I'm in
move-
love with you right now.
What? I'm sorry, man.
Here is a perfect example of this shelf fungus, and you can actually count how old it is by counting the rings. If you feel them, they're really, really hard, and they always orient themselves to the dark side up and the light side down. And these are just really cute. These are called shy maidens because you see they're beautiful little flowers, but they're nodding down.
It's been absolutely amazing. I haven't seen so much beautiful nature in the longest time. I don't even know if I've ever seen anything this beautiful before.